Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
And we spent a lot of time talking vinyl records on this show. Obviously, it's The Vinyl Den. We've also talked about CDs. One thing we haven't talked about are cassettes. So today we're going to talk about the kind of the resurgence that cassettes have had over the last couple of years. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on that link down below and go check out the Vinyl Den Facebook group. We're over a year now of the Facebook group.
Yeah.
There's over 900 in the group now, so it's not a huge group, but it's a cool place to kind of, like I always say, to continue that music conversation. There's a couple other links down there. Were you going to say something, Ian? I know.
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to say something there, but there's a couple other links down there. There's one for the Vinyl Den merch page. We got t-shirts and sweatshirts on there. There's also a link for the Vinyl Den Patreon page if you want to support the show. It's always greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So I don't know about you, but growing up in the 80s, I mean, of course I listened to records, but I'd say by like the mid 80s until, really like the mid 90s, I primarily listened to cassettes.
Well, because cassettes, you had, in the early 80s, you had the Walkman came out.
Yeah.
So cassettes were like, that's what you took with you. You listened to the records at home, but you took the cassettes with you when you went wherever,
Because you could listen to them in your car.
Exactly. Or when you're kids, when we were kids.
Unless you're Elvis, no one else had a record player in their car.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if it was practical for him, to be honest with you. Growing up, we had a Walkman, so, no matter where I went, I always had my Walkman with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
over the course, I think cassettes have really been steadily growing in popularity, really over the last probably, 6-7 years?
Really, I've only really noticed the resurgence over the last couple of years.
But really, before, I've seen them, like, every once in a while you would see a cassette. But over, like you said, over the last year or two, you've really seen a big increase in the amount of new releases being released on cassette. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing a lot of even major releases. I know Taylor Swift has released her last couple of albums on cassette. Mm-hmm. The new Adele album will be released on cassette. If there's 500,000 copies of it made pressed on vinyl, how many copies do they press on cassette,
Right.
Probably quite a few. So I think you're going to see...
I don't think they press cassettes, though.
You know what I'm saying. Guy kills me.
Try.
But there for a long time, you saw like a lot of indie bands would release their new releases on cassette. And I think it was really over the course of the last year, really, with the pandemic and everything, that you've seen this huge increase in cassette sales. Mm. I think another factor that's really kind of playing into the big increase in sales that you're seeing is the skyrocketing cost of vinyl.
Right.
Because of a new release is generally going to be about $30 to $35 when, just a couple of years ago, how much were you paying for a new album? $20-25?
Yeah, I think 25 would have been a high end for a single disc, 30 to 35 for a double.
Yeah. And now you're seeing over $40 for a lot of double LPs being released now. So, and
in the 30s for singles.
Yeah, so I think that rise in cost that people have been talking about at length over the last year or so, I think is really kind of playing into it because you can go to a store, pick up a new cassette for they're $10, $15 for a new cassette. CDs are kind of in that same kind of price range too, and I think that's really what has led the increase in really both of those formats. Right,
and it could potentially be damaging for vinyl sales eventually. But I'm going to be the Debbie Downer. I won't ever buy cassettes again.
Well, I think the big thing with cassettes, and I've got 2 cassettes. Well, I guess I really don't have 2 cassettes. My son Jack has 1 cassette, which he got for Record Store Day. And I have the Cobra Kai cassette that came with my Mondo box set.
Right.
It's the only 2 I've got. I think the big thing that holds back that will hold back the cassette resurgence is the fact that really no one out there is making high-end cassette decks.
Right, yeah. I wouldn't even know where to buy a cassette deck at this point.
I've got one up on my shelf,
right?
Which I think Mandy got it at Goodwill, I think, right. A couple of years back.
And I mean, you can get a decent set up for cheap if you find something like that at a Goodwill or a flea market or something.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee that's going to last.
No.
And
that's what I'm saying is, until there's a big manufacturer out there that really puts money into creating a high-end new cassette deck,
which I don't see.
Which I don't see the drive yet for something like that. But I think we could get there eventually. But really, until we get to that point, I don't see a huge boom in cassettes. Yeah,
and then to be completely honest, I know, vinyl can degrade over time, but cassettes degrade much, much faster.
Yeah.
Many of the cassettes I had when I was a kid, I wore them out, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
They tend to sound worse and worse every time you listen to them over time, because it's all about the magnetism. They demagnetize. So
I think that was one of the drives that kind of pushed something that really kind of pushed the CD era.
Right.
Was to have something that didn't degrade over time.
And that could potentially be portable at some point or another, which it wasn't long. The Walkman became the Discman, and, you started getting CD players in cars that, could play without skipping.
It took a while.
It did take a little while, but
I remember I think the first one you had in your car, like every time you hit a bump, the CD would skip.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that bad, but it wasn't great. But the second one I got was a little higher end. Higher end at a time when the price had gone down.
Yes.
So, I would probably the same amount I spent on that I did on my very first one, but it was a much better model. So I rarely, I'd have to hit a really big bump to have a problem with that.
So I'm not sure if they released anything yet, but I know that Recording the Masters, which is a reel-to-reel tape company, they teamed up with Think Indie Distribution. And what they're doing is they're going back, they're taking like recently released major releases, and they are releasing them on cassette. For most of these releases have never been released on cassette before. Right. So at least that's their plan right now, is to go through and just re-release a lot of those on cassette. And that was something that was announced earlier this year. Like I said, I don't think they've actually done any releases yet. So that's something that is at least coming down the pipe. So we're going to see some of those kind of trickle out, hopefully relatively soon. Like I said, I'm not sure what the prices are going to be. Like I said, I haven't bought a cassette in 30 years.
I want to say probably the last cassette I bought might have even been, because we were talking about it off camera, was the No More Tears, Ozzy Osbourne, and the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 at the same time, 1991, because I got a CD player very shortly after that.
Yeah. And I mean, it was probably, I didn't buy a CD or a CD player until, I guess I never had it. I used my PlayStation, I think was my first CD player. But
right.
I didn't buy my first CD until probably 97, I want to say.
Right.
I was like a senior in high school when I bought my first one. Up until then, I was still buying on cassette. So, I guess it's probably only been a little over 20 years since I bought a cassette. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these kind of releases come out. But like I said, until I'm able to buy like a higher end tape deck, I'm probably going to stay away from the cassette.
The only way I would do it, I might buy it just out of the nostalgia. Like, it means I've already got the vinyl.
Or 7 copies of it on vinyl.
No, I'm not.
in my case.
Me, I buy 1 copy of each thing, generally speaking. So I'll already have it on vinyl, and it might just be for like specific artists I might do that with, you know. Just for fun, because I can't imagine they're going to be terribly expensive.
I wouldn't think so.
Maybe $10 to $15 tops.
Yeah.
So because they're not that expensive to make.
No,
I would imagine. So
I would figure, they're right around the same price, the same price structure as CDs.
I would think so. Yeah.
Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. I don't know. Drop us a comment down below. Let us know what you guys think about cassettes. Whether you buy them, whether you've ever bought them, whether you think that there is a cassette boom coming that some people are predicting. I think it may come eventually, but I don't think it's quite to the point where it's an imminent kind of thing.
And it won't be anywhere near like with the vinyl.
I don't think it'll ever kind of get to that point. But I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a little thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell. And that's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.